Hey, what's going on? Dylan Rose of Archer Nation here, hanging out with the kind folks at Canary Cables today, and we're going to talk a minute about why it's important to play a high-quality cable. Okay, first thing that comes to mind is shielding. Now, we're not just talking about the shielding that you have to have on an instrument cable versus a speaker cable, which of course blocks all that outside interference from anything from cell phones, radio transmissions, other electrical sources like your PA or somebody else's amplifier next to you, or even those cool neon beer signs at the bar. There's also the electrostatic shielding that happens in quality cables that diffuse any static electricity that would build up from friction. So in other words, we've all had a cable where if you kind of wiggle it across the ground or bang it against something or rub it against your leg and it kind of gets crackly or it kind of makes that shh kind of sound, that's the friction buildup, that's static electricity, and that's also pretty unpleasant. So shielding is very important in a nicer cable. Okay, second thing, capacitance. So basically, your cable lead is going to transfer signal from your guitar to your amp, or wherever it's going. And no matter what, it's going to put some sort of small load on that signal. And the result, if you have too much capacitance, which is often found in A, less expensive cables, or B, really long runs of cable, which is somewhat unavoidable, but we'll get to that. You're going to lose treble. It's going to take the top end of your tone down. You're not going to lose overall volume necessarily. It's not going to just destroy your tone across the whole spectrum, but it's roughly the same thing as just rolling the tone knob off of your guitar. Be mindful that a really cheap cable is going to have more capacitance usually when you see these studies than a higher quality cable that's better at transferring your signal without putting more of a load on it. And that's the same thing that goes for longer cable runs. Inevitably, if you're somebody that always uses 25, 30, 40, 50-foot cables because you're playing on big stages or whatever application you're in, then it's even more important to have a nice cable because you want to start with the lowest amount of capacitance per foot, and then if you have a long cable, the damage done is much less than if you started with an inexpensive one that's just going to hammer your tone yard by yard by yard, depending on how long you're going to transfer it. So capacitance is also very important. Okay, and last but not least, durability. So it kind of goes without saying, but look, a nicer cable is just going to hold up to more of the punishment for longer. Cables naturally take a lot of abuse by nature. Of course, they're on stages all the time. We're rolling our amplifier wheels over them. We're dragging them all over the place. They're getting stepped on. We wrap them up at the end of the night, throw them in the back of the van, on to the next thing, right? So they take a ton of abuse just by nature. And you don't want something to break down after 5 or 10 or even 20 gigs or whatever it is. So it's very important to have something with quality materials. The connectors stay tight and everything works well. So durability would definitely be another factor in getting a nicer cable versus a cheaper one. All right, so there you have it. Those are my 3 quick reasons for why you got to play a high quality cable and why I personally get heard with the bird.